My name is Clara Bennett. I'm 27, and if you had asked me a year ago, I would have told you I was in love. Real, steady, almost storybook love. Ethan had that kind of presence that filled a room. He wasn't just charming, he was magnetic. The type of man who could strike up a conversation with a stranger in line for coffee and walk away knowing their life story. People gravitated to him, and for a long time, so did I. I've always been the quieter one. I work in IT at a healthcare company, methodical, low profile, more at home with a book or a small dinner than a crowded bar. My world was structured, predictable, safe. Ethan's was loud, unpredictable, a little chaotic. At first, that difference was part of the thrill. He used to tell me, "You're the calm in my storm," and I believed him. I thought that was balance. But over time, those differences began to feel less like balance and more like cracks I pretended not to see. Ethan thrived on attention. At every gathering, he had to be the one telling the funniest story, the one everyone was leaning toward. He'd poke fun at me sometimes. "Clara, you're too logical, too serious." His friends joined in, joking that I gave off strict teacher energy. Ethan laughed and smirked. "Yeah, but like hot teacher energy." Everyone laughed, including me, but the truth, I felt small. I told myself it was harmless. Just jokes, just banter. He didn't mean to chip away at me, right? There was one name that came up more than once in his stories. Nora, his ex. Ethan always brushed it off like a joke. "Oh, Nora, that disaster. She was wild, no future there." He painted her as reckless, fun, but unstable, someone from a past life. I told myself not to be bothered. After all, he'd chosen me, hadn't he? Still, late at night, I caught myself thinking about that laugh he used whenever her name slipped out. A little softer, a little warmer. I hated that it unsettled me. The week everything began to unravel started just like any other. I'd come off a brutal sprint at work. My plan for Friday night was simple. Order takeout, open a bottle of wine, and curl up with Ethan on the couch. The kind of evening that felt like us. No noise, no spotlight, just us. When I texted him, though, his reply came quick. "Can't tonight. Work people are having a casual party. You wouldn't know anyone, nothing big." I offered to come along anyway. He brushed it off. "It's not that kind of thing, babe. Might be boring for you." That word, boring, stung more than it should have. Still, I swallowed it, forced a smile into my text, and said, "Okay, have fun. Text me when you're home." He sent back a heart emoji. That night, I stayed in as planned. Thai food, a silly action movie playing in the background, my phone sitting face up on the coffee table. Every so often, I glanced at it, waiting for that check-in text. By midnight, nothing. I gave in and typed, "You home safe?" No reply. At 1:37 a.m., my phone buzzed. One word. "Yep." No punctuation, no detail, no Ethan-style banter. I stared at the screen, the kind of stare where your body knows something's off before your brain admits it, but I told myself not to spiral. He wasn't big on texting when he was out. Maybe his phone had died, maybe he was tired. Maybe I just didn't want to believe the alternative. The next morning, he sent a breezy, "Good morning," like nothing happened. No mention of the party, no stories, no gossip, just silence where there should have been noise. That silence was the first warning bell I ignored. Because if I had listened closely, I'd have realized the storm was already moving in. The days after that party crawled by. Ethan acted like everything was normal. He kissed me on the cheek when we met up, cracked jokes about his boss, and filled our dinners with chatter about office gossip. But there was something missing, something subtle. Ethan loved retelling stories. Normally, he couldn't resist spilling the latest drama. Who hooked up with who embarrassed themselves after too many drinks. He thrived on the retelling. This time, nothing. Not a single detail about Friday night. At first, I told myself maybe it really wasn't worth mentioning. Maybe it was just drinks and background music, like he'd said. But the absence gnawed at me. I found myself lying awake at night, replaying it in my head. That flat yep at 1:37 a.m. His heart emoji before leaving. The silence after. I tried to push it down. I didn't want to be the insecure girlfriend. But insecurity doesn't need an invitation. It grows in silence. 3 days later, I was sitting at my kitchen counter scrolling absent-mindedly through Instagram when a message notification popped up. It was from Tessa. We weren't close. She was one of Ethan's co-workers, someone I only knew through the occasional office happy hour or meme exchange. She was sharp, sarcastic, always friendly in passing, but not someone who normally messaged me out of the blue. Her text was short. Hey, just checking in. Are you and Ethan good? My stomach tightened. Who starts a message like that? I typed back, yeah, why? Her reply came fast. I just assumed you knew about what happened at Nora's party. Sorry if I overstepped. Nora. The name felt like a stone dropping into water, sending ripples through my chest. I sat frozen, rereading the message until the words blurred. My hands actually trembled. I typed slowly. Nora's party? Tessa's next message. Yeah, it was her birthday Friday, the one Ethan went to. I figured he told you. My pulse roared in my ears. He hadn't told me. Not once did he say it was Nora's birthday. Not once did he say her name. Just work people. Just casual. I stared at the screen, numb, the edges of reality softening like I was underwater. I typed, he didn't mention that. There was a long pause before her next message. Crap. Look, I feel weird being the one to say this. Maybe talk to him first. No, my fingers were ice cold but steady as I wrote, Tessa, please, what happened? The typing dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then finally, there's a video. It's not my place to send it, but if I were you, I'd want to know. And then nothing. The silence after that message was louder than any scream. I sat on my couch for hours, staring at the conversation, my chest hollow, my body buzzing with dread. I didn't text Ethan. I didn't call Tessa again. Instead, I went through the motions like a ghost. I washed dishes that were already clean. I folded clothes twice. I scrolled through my phone without seeing a thing. Because deep down, I already knew. I just wasn't ready to see it with my own eyes. It took 2 more days before Tessa broke the silence. I was at work, staring blankly at spreadsheets when my phone buzzed with a new message. My heart knew before my eyes did. It was from her. I think you need to see this. I'm sorry. A video file followed. My hand shook as I tapped it open. The screen filled with shaky party footage, music thumping, red Solo cups flashing under dim lights. Then, suddenly, there they were. Ethan and Nora, standing shoulder to shoulder in someone's kitchen, his arm resting a little too comfortably along the counter behind her. She leaned in, laughing at something he whispered. He smiled in that way, the one I used to think was just for me. Then, without hesitation, he kissed her, and she kissed him back. Not a slip, not a mistake, a full, slow kiss, the kind that makes people look away out of secondhand discomfort. His hand on her waist, her hand on his shoulder. Like it wasn't the first time. A voice off camera shouted, "Okay, get a room," and the crowd laughed. Ethan laughed too, and so did Nora. I dropped the phone onto my desk as if it had burned me. But the burn wasn't outside, it was in my chest, spreading through me like ice. I played it again, and again. 10 seconds of betrayal looping until my vision blurred. Each time, I hoped to find some clue that it wasn't what it looked like. Maybe his lips missed hers. Maybe she pushed him away. Maybe it was staged. But no, there was no mistaking it. My first reaction wasn't even anger, it was emptiness. I sat there in my office chair, staring at the walls, my ears ringing. Not crying, not yelling, just hollow, like someone had scooped me out from the inside. My mind drifted to all the little sacrifices I'd made for him, the late nights cooking when he was too tired to care for himself, sitting through endless brainstorming sessions for his projects, skipping plans with friends because he wanted me at his side. Every, "I don't know what I'd do without you," replayed in my head. And now I had my answer. The worst part? He was still texting me like nothing had happened. That morning he'd sent, "Morning, babe. Coffee later?" I stared at it, my thumb hovering over the screen. My chest screamed to reply, to demand answers, to throw the video in his face. But another part of me, the part that felt quiet and terrifyingly calm, stopped me. Not yet. I realized then that rage wasn't what I wanted. Not drama, not another performance where he twisted the truth until I doubted my own eyes. What I wanted was clarity and distance. So I said nothing. I let him think I was still in the dark. Let him believe he was safe in his little performance. Because when I finally confronted him, I wasn't going to shout. I was going to end it. By Thursday, I had made up my mind. I invited Ethan over for dinner. I wanted the setting to be ordinary, almost domestic. Pasta on the stove, candles flickering on the table, the illusion of normalcy wrapping around us like a curtain. When he walked in, he looked the same as always. Casual, confident, wearing that worn flannel he knew I liked. He leaned down to kiss me, and I turned my head so his lips brushed my cheek. He chuckled softly, as if I were teasing him. Missed me? I didn't answer. We ate, or rather, he ate. He filled the silence with chatter about his boss screwing up deadlines, about some inside joke with his coworkers, about how he was considering switching gyms. I nodded in the right places, my fork moving but barely touching the food. When dinner ended, I carried plates to the sink, letting the water run, staring at my own reflection in the window above the basin. My heart beat steady, too steady, as if I'd already made peace with what was coming. And then, without looking at him, I asked, "So, how was that party last weekend?" There was a beat of silence, then his voice, casual. "Oh, chill. Just some drinks, some music, nothing special." I turned, drying my hands on a towel. My eyes met his. Whose party was it? He blinked, his body shifting just slightly, like a puppet string had been tugged. Just some work people. You wouldn't know them." I let the silence hang between us, heavy. Then I said slowly, "Tessa was there." The color in his face shifted. His smile faltered. I took a step closer. "Was it Nora's birthday?" This time, his back straightened. He swallowed. "Okay, yeah, it was her birthday. But I didn't think it was a big deal. I knew how you'd react." My throat tightened. I forgot. It slipped my mind. But I knew, and I lied. I folded the towel neatly, placed it on the counter. My voice was calm, deliberate. "So you didn't tell me it was your ex's birthday, and then you kissed her." He froze. His eyes flicked to me, wide, calculating. "Clara, wait." I saw the video. That stopped him cold. His mouth opened, then closed again. For a flicker of a second, the mask cracked. Then the performance kicked in. He sighed, ran a hand through his hair. "Okay, yes, but it wasn't what it looked like. Everyone was drunk. People were egging us on. It was a dumb moment. I didn't even want to do it." I tilted my head, studying him. "You looked like you wanted to." His jaw tightened. "It was 2 seconds. Clara, you're really going to throw away everything we've built over one meaningless kiss?" The audacity almost made me laugh. Instead, I whispered, "You didn't just kiss her. You lied to me. You planned to lie. That's the part I can't forgive." His expression hardened. "You're blowing this out of proportion. You're acting like I slept with her. It was just a kiss." My voice sharpened. "You might as well have. The trust is gone either way." He stood, crossing his arms. "So that's it? You're just done after one mistake?" I looked at him, really looked at him. The boyish charm, the charisma, the confidence that had once felt magnetic. Now it just looked hollow. "Yes," I said simply, "I am." For a moment, silence. Then he scoffed, a bitter laugh escaping. "Wow, you really are that type, huh? One little slip and you run. I should have known you were waiting for an excuse." I didn't flinch. "No, I stayed through plenty. But I'm not staying through lies, and I'm not staying through humiliation." He searched my face, waiting for me to crack, to soften, to beg for some twisted explanation that would make it all okay. But I stayed silent. And eventually he picked up his jacket, muttered, "Fine, maybe you're not the girl I thought you were," and walked out. The door shut quietly behind him. And for the first time in weeks, I exhaled. Not with triumph, not with relief, but with a strange, clean emptiness. Like a storm had finally passed, leaving only silence in its wake. The night Ethan walked out, I didn't cry. I didn't smash things or call my friends in a storm of rage. Instead, I sat on my couch in the dim glow of the kitchen light, listening to the hum of the refrigerator. The quiet felt foreign at first, but slowly it began to feel like mine. The next morning, I moved methodically. I blocked his number, deleted our photos, tossed out the sweater he left draped over my chair. It all felt like sweeping up after a storm, mundane, necessary, final. I expected heartbreak. I expected to crumble, but instead I felt clean. Empty, yes, but in a way that was almost freeing. By Monday, the fallout started reaching me. A DM from Tessa. "Hey, just so you know, a lot of people saw that video. And honestly, no one's impressed with him. He's been bragging about it, but it just makes him look pathetic." Another message, this time from someone I barely knew, a guy from Ethan's marketing team. "Don't know you well, but I wanted to say sorry. Everyone saw what happened. He's been acting like you're crazy for leaving, but everyone knows he lied." I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Apparently, Ethan wasted no time moving on. Within a week, he was hooking up with a new intern, parading her around like a trophy. People whispered, rolled their eyes, distanced themselves. Tessa later told me he was losing credibility at work, his golden boy reputation cracking at the edges. Meanwhile, I stayed silent. Ethan tried, of course. First came the sweet texts from unknown numbers. I miss you, Clara. I made a mistake. Can we talk? Nora wasn't what I thought. You're my safe place. I didn't answer. Then the bitterness seeped in. So that's it? You're just going to ignore me like I meant nothing? You're so cold. I guess you were always waiting for an excuse to leave. Block, block, block. Each silence I gave him wasn't cruel. It was survival. I knew if I let him back in, he'd twist things until I doubted myself again. My silence was my armor, and for the first time, I felt powerful in it. Weeks passed, and his spiral deepened. Tessa sent updates I hadn't asked for. He and Nora don't even talk now. She's furious he used her to puff up his ego. Saw him snap at a coworker in front of the whole office. Not a good look. Clara, he's unraveling. Honestly, it's kind of karma. I didn't revel in it. I didn't wish him pain. But I couldn't deny the quiet satisfaction of watching the mask slip off, the charm, the magnetism, all falling apart without me holding it steady. For once, I wasn't the one carrying his chaos. For once, I wasn't shrinking to make room for him. The silence had become my refuge, and I wasn't giving it up. It had been nearly a month since I last saw Ethan. Long enough for his name to stop appearing on my phone, but not long enough for people to stop whispering about him. I thought the silence between us was permanent, until one night, close to 10 p.m., my phone lit up with a call from an unfamiliar number. I almost let it ring out, but when it came a second time, I answered. Clara? The voice was ragged, almost desperate. It was Ethan. I didn't respond. Please don't hang up, he rushed on. Just 5 minutes, that's all I'm asking. I need to explain. I leaned back against the couch, staring at the ceiling, letting him fill the silence. You left so fast, he continued, his words tumbling over each other. I didn't get the chance to. Look, I'm not trying to make excuses. I know I messed up, but you were my calm, Clara, the only safe thing I had, and I ruined it. My throat tightened, but not with sympathy, with anger. Because I had been those things. His calm, his safe place. And he'd thrown it away for 10 seconds of nostalgia with a woman he once called a disaster. I finally spoke, my voice steady. You didn't ruin it, Ethan. You chose to, the moment you lied to me. He swallowed audibly. I panicked. It was stupid. A meaningless kiss. You didn't even let me apologize. You kissed her back, I said flatly. Silence. Then softer, almost broken. I know. God, I know. But you didn't have to erase me like I was nothing. I closed my eyes. You became nothing the moment you lied. On the other end, I heard his breath hitch. For a second, I thought he might cry. But instead, his tone shifted, pleading. Clara, everyone's turned on me. Work's a nightmare. Nora won't even look at me. And you were supposed to be different. You're just gone. I let his words hang in the air, heavy and hollow. Finally, I said, I was gone the second you decided I didn't deserve honesty. And with that, I hung up. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel like I'd won. I just felt free. That night, I went for a walk. The city was quiet, the streets slick from a recent rain. Each step felt lighter, like I was finally walking out of a storm I'd mistaken for sunshine. I realized closure doesn't come from someone else's apology. It comes when you choose to stop waiting for one. And I had chosen. Ethan's chaos was no longer mine to carry. His downfall wasn't my revenge to savor. It was simply the consequence of his own choices. I had my silence. And in that silence, I found myself again.